A recent study supports a very old hypothesis about the causes of schizophrenia, and it could change the way we look at the disorder. We'll start this episode with a mix of history and science. First, the history. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, one of the world's premier psychologists was named Emil Kraepelin. He specialized in a disorder called dementia praecox, which today we call schizophrenia. From 1896 up until his death in 1926, Kraepelin believed the disorder was what he called a whole-body madness. In other words, schizophrenia isn't just in the brain, it also has a strong physical component. Now, the association between schizophrenia and poor physical health isn't controversial. Doctors have seen for a long time that people with schizophrenia live about 10 to 20 years less than people without it, and the disorder is associated with an increased risk of other health problems, including heart disease, diabetes, and suicide. Most modern doctors have assumed that this association went in one direction. For example, schizophrenic people often face homelessness and other factors that put their health at risk. So the assumption was that poor physical symptoms were a secondary feature that came up based on context. Well, here comes the science part of this story. According to a study from May 2018 led by Dr. Tom Pillinger from the King's College London, Kraepelin might not have been so far off. The study found that even young people diagnosed with schizophrenia had more markers of inflammation, higher levels of certain hormones, and more heart disease risk factors than those without. There's plenty more for us to learn about the condition, but here are a few ways the connection could pan out. One explanation could be that the effects in the brain ripple out to cause effects in the body, like when the brain produces the stress hormone cortisol, which can cause weight gain, raised blood pressure, and diabetes. Another is the disorder is rooted in the body instead, and these kinds of issues are reflected in the brain. We've seen that before in certain rare cancers that cause psychosis until the tumor is removed. There's also the possibility that it's not really a question of the chicken and the egg as much as two symptoms that might be tied to a third, as yet unknown factor. We don't have all the answers yet, but learning more can only help people who are suffering from schizophrenia in the future.